Moving yourself sounds simple until it isn't. The packing, the truck rental, the lifting, the mess. Now imagine moving with United Van Lines. United's pros know how to transport your things safely and seamlessly. No guesswork, no borrowed dollies, no hassles. A full service move by United means your move is handled by experts. Your time stays yours and your stress level dramatically lower. Full service moving from America's #1 mover, United. It's a better way to move. Get a free quote at UnitedVanLines.com.
I'm really excited because we're about to have our baby's first birthday party.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It has not been a year. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. He's a Leo.
He's a Leo. We're having a pool party.
Oh my God. Wait, is your family gonna fly out?
Family's flying out.
Okay.
Best friend who's the donor is flying out.
Yes, I was gonna ask.
The guest that I got to interview today also has like best friend donor situation, and the kid calls him uncle, and that guy also had kids and their kids played together. There was just like so much like in our stories that was like shared, and I thought that it was really cool.
So do you think Bestie is gonna give uncle vibes for Bebe?
I think Bestie's gonna give icon vibes, and it's just gonna be like cool present. Like I'm just like, oh
yes.
And I mean, this is complicated because I know a lot of people who have used not known donor and just been like either sperm bank or I don't know, some sort of like other way to have kids. And I think that there's like a hands-offness to that choice that is very attractive.
Yeah.
And also still right now where I'm standing, I'm like, I'm so excited for him to know this guy.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like there's like an
yes.
anticipation of like, there's such a cool thing ahead. Like, you're going to get to meet that person and be like, they share DNA, you know, like, but I don't know. It is also more complicated. I'm like, what if they're like, I love this person, I'm running away. Like, you're not my dad vibes. Like,
right.
But it is really cool to be like, it brings up fear. It's like, and what if you have a connection with this person that's based in blood and I feel left out? Like, all of that stuff is brought up, but I don't need to like cancel that fear out and like shortchange my kid, like so that I don't have to face any of that complication. At least for me, since this was an option, it felt like the right thing to do. But I'm like, there's like such complicated feelings, but also like a lot of excitement and a lot of like, I love this person and you're gonna get to meet them, and that's so, you know.
And that's your bestie. So also, if you were having complicated feelings, you could literally just be like, I'm having complicated feelings. Whereas, like, if you told a donor that, it'd be like, that's nice. I owe you nothing, right? Like, okay.
It'd be like, email not delivered.
Yeah, exactly. This email did not, like, mail delivery system error.
Yeah, so it turns out community is just like, you need, like, communication. And you have to, like, figure it out together.
No, it turns out it actually takes work.
It was fun because I like talked to this person. I'm like really thankful for the conversation because I feel like they are so many steps ahead in the like facing their fears and like the anxieties that only you are bringing to the table. And the kid is like, huh? Like they're just like, well, this is my reality. And you keep like.
Yes. And so it's, that's such an excellent reminder for you.
If you would please introduce yourself and like your pronouns or whatever you want people to know about you.
I'm Stacey Waite. I do many things. I'm a poet. I'm a writer, scholar. I do mostly scholarship of pedagogy and write poems. I'm also a slam poetry coach as well as a professor at the University of Nebraska, where I've been since 2011. pronouns are a very long conversation that we can have later if you want to have it.
Oh, yeah. That's what the pod is about.
I object to shorthand about gender. People can have shorthand. I personally don't have shorthand, but other folks do. So, yeah, I've been living in Nebraska for the last 15 years, which has been kind of wild. And I'm also a parent to two growing kiddos. I grew up in New York, on Long Island, actually. And I lived in Pittsburgh in between there for about 15 years while I did a couple of graduate degrees and mess around in between them doing nothing. So, yeah.
Okay, well, my first question is obviously you're living in Nebraska. You've been there for a long time and you object to shorthand for gender. What's it like being there?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I live in two worlds. I mean, one is the English department that I work in, and that world is just fine, and gives me plenty of space to complexly articulate things about gender all the time. So I'm very grateful to be working in a pretty progressive and interesting English department. But yeah, there are times that living in a deeply red state is challenging. Lincoln is a sort of blue dot inside that very red state. So I would say that on the daily in my community, things go like pretty okay, though. My partner and I always joke that how you fit in around here is you buy yourself a Husker sweatshirt, like a corn Husker sweatshirt, and then everyone just assumes I'm a frat boy. They're just like, look at that sweet little frat boy. He's buying some chicken, like they just. So I think I get interpreted normatively a lot more than I probably think. So I don't actually know how bad it might be if I didn't. It's hard to say. My daughter was joking the other day. She's in third grade that their teacher's like, well, you got to make 2 cards for Mother's Day, and my daughter comes home and she's like, I do not have 2 moms. It's not what she calls me. Like, so I was like, and I felt bad for the teacher because I'm like, she's trying to be progressive.
Totally,
you know what I mean? She's
totally.
She's totally trying to be progressive. And my daughter's just like offended, like, this is ridiculous. I don't see 2 moms here.
That's so funny.
So yeah, people have asked me recently, like, am I going to leave? Am I going to get out of here? And my answer to that is always like, well, this is my home. I've been here for 15 years. My kids are growing up here. I've worked at this university, this department for 15 years, which I love. And so, yeah, this is my home. So I do my best to fight the fight. Just came from some meetings last week. They closed our gender and sexuality center here on my campus. So I woke up for the first time since I took this job in 2011, and I now work for a university that does not have an LGBTQ center on campus.
Wow.
Which is a wild thing, like to wake up and be like, whoa, like I work here, like what? Yeah, it's a wicked moment to be in. But I feel like for anybody, I feel like my friends in blue states that work for large research institutions are also feeling it, because there's all these things tied to money and federal money and state money that now have gotten complicated, where universities aren't just left alone to do their thing or more or less, So, I mean, it's challenging. It's very challenging, but I do have a lot of great community here. My kids have a lot of great community here. There are a lot of great queer people in the state of Nebraska whose home this is, and we will stay here and hopefully still make it better, even though it's trying to make itself worse currently.
Totally. Yeah. That really leads me to my next question, because I do feel like minorly insulated from this kind of like new wave of anti-trans hate being in Los Angeles. My parents are super conservative, so even my mom is like, wow, the language has really ramped up, like it's really gross. And I'm like, and that's coming from you who voted for the guy. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? But yeah, have you noticed like a tide shift, and I guess what has been your response to it?
I would say when I travel, a lot more bad stuff has been happening than used to happen. Well, I can tell you this story because it ends right now. I really think like the queer happy ending is really important right now, so we can all survive. So I'm going to tell you one that's a terrible story that has like a great ending.
Great,
which is like I was on a plane. I was flying to North Carolina, and I had a layover in Atlanta, and get on the plane here from Omaha. And I could kind of tell when I sat down, that the person next to me in the middle seat had what I thought was maybe bad energy in my direction, but I just tried to, face forward. And the flight attendant came by and asked me if I could put my bag, further under the seat. And she said, "Can you put your bag further under the seat, sir?" And I said, "Sure." And I put my bag under the seat. And then the plane took off. And then about 5 minutes into the flight, the guy leans over like really close to my face and he says, "If you think anyone on this plane believes you're a real man, you got another thing coming." And I was like, okay. And like the hairs on the back of my neck went up and I was like, oh, this guy doesn't know. I just wrote a book called A Real Man Would Have a Gun. He's, I actually, in that book, I actually say that I'm not a real man and I don't think anyone should want to be one, but okay. So at first I'm just sort of like, okay, don't look. I mean, this is how I've trained myself. Like, just do not acknowledge that he exists. But I look over and he does have a tattoo on his wrist. It says God, Guns, Trump on his wrist. And I was like, wow, okay, I am really in it right now,
Side note, that's like the gayest little tattoo
That's the gay-
ever.
Agreed.
That's
I did not tell him, but I wanted to tell him how gay it was. I really did. I really wanted to tell him.
That's where people put like believe in script.
Yes.
Like, okay, yeah.
So he says this, I look forward, and then about another 10 minutes goes by, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is over, But then he leans over again and says, "For Christ's sake, you don't even have an Adam's apple." So at this point now I'm starting to feel like ill, like where I'm like, is this guy, like, what is he? So I like look around to try to find the flight attendant to me that looks the most hip based on, of course, stereotypes of my own. Go to the back of the plane. I'm just like, hey, listen, this guy, he said these things. I don't know what to do, but I definitely would. Is it possible for me to move my seat? I'll move back. I'll move wherever you want me to go. And so she's like, well, why don't I move you back so that he has to get off the plane first? She's like, if he said something physically threatening, like I could make some calls in some bit, she's like, but unfortunately, there's like nothing I can do. He's being like creepy. Let's get you away from him.
Yeah.
Like, okay. So plane lands and I am a little freaked out when the plane lands and I'm like, okay, this is going to be bad. So this great flight attendant comes up to me when I'm about to get off and she said, "Hey, I'm going to have somebody waiting for you when you get off the flight because it's going to be also in the airport and I just, want you to, so there's going to be somebody waiting for you." So I'm walking off the plane. I'm like, well, that's very nice of her, but who's going to be waiting for me?
Yeah.
Like some dude from the TSA who's also going to be like, what the fuck? I was like, okay. But then this is the great story of queer hope. I get off the plane and this 6-year-old big burly looking woman comes up to me and she's like, "My name's Daisy. People call me Z." And I heard somebody was being wildly inappropriate on that flight. I was like, praise the Lord for Z. I was like, praise the Lord for Z. She followed me around the Atlanta airport. I went to Starbucks. She went to Starbucks. She paced around. She waited until I got on that plane to North Carolina. She was ready to tackle this guy. Like, she was ready to go. And I was like, I am safe with Z. Like, I'm going to be safe.
Oh, my God.
So I just thought, well, that's the universe being like, hey, this is super fucked up, but also, we're still here. We're taking care of each other.
Totally.
But
we got private security detail.
Yeah. But traveling, I feel like people get more crazy when they're traveling. Like, they're already crazy, but then they get more crazy. So, but that kind of instance where just some stranger starts bothering me for like when I'm just flying on a plane, it used to be just bathrooms, I just have to be afraid of the bathroom. Now I can't even sit down on an airplane, so that's what it feels like. The emboldenedness to say something about it. It's not as if these people weren't always here voting, doing the things they do. But there's kind of this like, almost like they think it's their place to go around and police on an airplane or whatever.
Totally.
And of course it's like a super weird experience where all the retorts you can think of, you're like, okay, well, this is either going to escalate things, I'm going to get hurt.
Well, totally.
Or so it's just like, but then I feel, you leave feeling with that sense of like shame or not having stuck up for yourself or not having said, the truth about gender and about him. And, but I always tell myself it's more important that I'm alive than right.
Well, yeah, totally. And I mean, if someone's like so keyed up already, you're like, I just don't want to match your energy. That's like such a losing battle and so weird. He's like having the conversation, assuming you want to have the conversation about being a real man. And like you said, you're like, I just wrote a whole book on this actually, and I have some thoughts.
I
don't agree with the premise. Yeah,
I think you're wrong that I'd be trying to convince anybody of a real anything. Like, if anything, totally. I am walking around being like, we're only as real as we feel, yo.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, that's so crazy though. Shout out to Z.
Yeah, Z, if you're out there, you're my hero. You're my absolute hero, Z.
I'm Hannah. I've lost 75 pounds in 20 months with GLP-1s, plus diet and exercise. On Ro, I've gone from struggling to run a mile to running farther every day. You can access FDA-approved GLP-1s online. Get the support you need to reach your weight loss goals. Go to ro.co/weight to see if you qualify. I'm a paid Ro partner. 20% average weight loss in 1 year in non-diabetics with obesity or overweight with a weight-related medical condition versus 3.1% in placebo arm. RX only. To stay informed about serious side effects, go to ro.co/safety.
What kind of like messages growing up on Long Island did you receive about gender? Like what was kind of like your education around gender?
Well, my general education in terms of like the people around me and my peers and stuff was pretty rigidly, being trans or non-binary was not discussed. It was not something I saw except on the Jerry Springer show in very messed up ways, as we all did in the 80s and 90s. And so had no idea, only the feeling myself that like something is not something everyone else seems to be experiencing. It's not happening over here with me. I am very grateful. I had a mom who very much, even though she didn't have language and she was nervous about me, like I think mostly about me getting hurt, she did let me be myself, dress how I wanted to dress and have my mullet and,
Totally.
do the things I was doing. And she very politely did not ask questions. She just kind of were like, you're fine the way you are.
Totally.
I was not so lucky with my biological father, who did not feel that way about me, but my mom and my stepdad did. And so I was very lucky to have a safe home to be myself. I wasn't out to my parents with any language, but I was myself at home, like I was able to be myself. And that's a gift I do not take lightly because I have many friends who were not, but absolutely no language. And so grew up definitely feeling something was wrong with me and that it was beyond like just being gay, which it wasn't okay in Long Island in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't like the end of the world either. Like there was definitely... Like we used to, there was one gay bar like in Comac in my town, and the queer elders used to like sneak us in through the back. They had like food and like it was very lesbian. And so like there was queer community, but even there was sometimes this sense like I would sort of be looking at the other butch women like, do you feel how I feel, or are you fine with this whole woman thing? Like but we never talked about it because at that time there wasn't a lot. There was language, but it wasn't widely circulating in those spaces. So the term non-binary, had not heard it until grad school, did not know what that was. So, and I think that was true for a lot of who, many of them have transitioned now, some of them haven't, but like the butches of that time, I think, a lot of us felt that way, but had no way to truly articulate what it meant. And
was tomboy thrown around when you were growing up? And did you feel like the loss of that word as you, like for me, I reached a certain point where it's like, well, you're not a tomboy who's like 17 years old. Like you kind of lose that like fun rascal label in elementary school.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was very tragic for me when some things started to happen where I couldn't play boys sports anymore. So I played boys Little League for a long time. And like, they gave my stepdad like, oh, you can't do that anymore. Like she's got to play softball. And at first I was very offended about playing softball. I didn't know what badasses softball players were.
Totally.
Because again, no gender education. So then he took my stepdad, bless him, he took me to a college softball game and I was like, okay.
That was sick.
These women look like somebody I could hang out with, So I was, again, I was like, okay, right? Like, but there was a grief. I mean, Butler has an essay about this, right? Like that gender itself is just like grief. I mean, it's just all grief. It's all this loss. And if we would acknowledge it as a culture, how much loss it is for everyone, for even the most cis hetero folks you can imagine. Like I know when I go around and give readings like at universities and stuff, like sure, like queer identified people like come up to me and talk to me, but a lot of cis people will come up to me and they'll tell me these like gender tragedies that happened to them, the moment that their dad said they're not going to hug anymore, they're going to shake hands, or, the moment someone shamed them for like sitting with their legs open with their dress on, or just like, people start to recognize, hopefully if they're thinking, feeling people, in the work of queer artists, start to recognize like, oh, this experience is one embedded in all gender. It's us who are highlighting it because it's so dangerous for us, but it's there for all of us to experience the horror and the grief of. Totally. And, I feel like if we could get real about that grief and those connections, man, I just feel like, we could do a lot of work together that people just don't realize like, oh, this isn't a different experience. It's more of an experience that I already had, even as a cisgender person, but particularly like getting college-age men to admit that they're having these experiences is also really hard. I mean, I see it already with my son, who seems to be mostly male-identified, that like, there's a lot of pressure to let things go unsaid in masculinity in middle school, right? To like leave it alone. And if you say something about it, then you're not cool, like you're not a dude, Yeah. So my son's totally struggling that my son has an inability to not say something, so he's he's being raised by queer people, so he's a bit of a different bird, but yeah.
He's like, can we debrief on what just happened?
Like, yeah, we should. Do you know what toxic masculinity is? I think it just happened here in the lunchroom, and they're like, no, Max, no one wants to talk about that. Yeah.
Well, so you were going into these queer spaces, into the bar, and being like, are we also missing, like, same for me, queerness kind of like was a balm to the feeling that I was having. I'm like, well, I want to be with women. Great, that's solved, but there was still something else.
Yes. And then something that, I didn't really put my hand on the pulse of it until college, and I took a queer theory class, in 1999.
Wow.
Yeah, Marty Mumford, she since passed away, a professor at Bucknell. She had a queer theory class, and I mean, that just blew my mind. And so then they brought Kate Bornstein to my campus the first year of, and that, I mean, I remember my friend telling me about it. We're going to go to this thing. Come on, let's go. And I'm like, wait. You're telling me that a trans person is going to come to this campus and they're going to get up on a stage and say a bunch of gay and trans stuff, and somebody paid them, and then everyone's going to like clap? I was just like, this is not like, it was blowing my mind. So Bornstein came, and like there was, it was in this beautiful hall, and of course, as Kate Bornstein does, she blew everyone away and was amazing, and did one of those like monologues that she was doing in the 90s, and like, the whole place is in an uproar. And I remember in that moment being like, oh my God, like, is my life going to be possible? Like,
wow.
is this where we're going, where like people can just say the kinds of things Kate was saying, which is just like, like this whole thing is a sham, like the whole gender thing. And she was just like, okay, and so that's why too, when people are like, do you want to leave Nebraska? I'm like, I need to stay here. If all the queer people leave Nebraska, what are the queer kids in Nebraska going to do, man? They need adults to, like, even though of course I'm like a queer elder now and I don't know all the terms, and my students are always like, what did you just say? One of my students asked me if I was sorry that my first book was called Butch Geography, because that term's kind of outdated. I was like, oh no, Butches are outdated.
Should I be? Oh no.
I was like, oh no, I'm outdated. But yeah, tomboy, butch, I love those words. When I was, hence, I wrote a book called Butch Geography, back in whatever that was, 2013. So I feel like gender is something I'm still working on. That's why I said, like, the pronouns thing is always complicated for me. Like, I don't even want to say working on. It's just something I like. I don't even say struggle. I want to say like I grapple, I wrestle with it like all the time, like both like observing it in the world and in myself, and trying to be like, what is this thing and how does it work? And when should I trust it and have fun with it and be playful? And when should I be watching it for danger? And like, it's it's just a lot of, I just feel like the whole thing is quite complicated.
Yeah.
I try to wish for a world where we could, when I say this, I don't mean like take ourselves less seriously, but I mean like take the notion of gender like less. If we could take it more playfully, just like across the board, maybe people wouldn't have to be mad.
Yeah, totally. We interviewed Judith, and I feel like something that came up with them, they were talking about how like just the very question about gender and pulling it apart is so destabilizing, like on a true like life or death level for some people. And I feel like that's what we're kind of seeing right now. Like someone feels like they're so upset about it that they have to talk to a full stranger and be really menacing and weird. Like I'm just like, something is gurgling up and shifting.
Yes.
And
But how fragile must something be
Totally.
for me sitting on a plane making you feel like it's in danger?
totally.
You know, that's what's like. So it's more like, yeah, I think what you're exposing more than anything else is the fragility of the very thing you think you're, you know, standing at the fortress of or whatever. It's kind of shocking, you know. And I just remember, I mean, reading Butler in the 90s and being like, like, finally someone is asking the question, like, is this real? You know, like,
Totally,
you know,
totally.
or is it real in the way we think it is? And, you know, just feeling so liberated by the notion that, like, oh, like, this is all just something we ascribe sets of meanings to, and then we act like they're natural. I mean, that's the big quote that everybody throws around from Gender Trouble, right? Is that whole, you know, these things that congeal over time to produce something that is, you know, perceived as natural, but is
Totally.
of course made up. And so I found that so liberating when I was like, wait, no, it's just not real. And I think that's why sometimes, like, pronouns for me are tough. Well, I should say first that none of them offend me at all. Like,
But
I
none of
don't
them sit right with you.
They don't sit right. I don't have offense or affinity. So I really tell people, like, when I get those emails, sometimes I get emails from colleges when I'm visiting, like, hey, we noticed your website doesn't have any pronouns. Can you give us some? You know, and I'm just like, hey, like, just, you know, do what you feel. You know, that's what my partner does. You know, like, she just, sometimes she says something like, look at this guy, you know, to me. And then other times, you know, so it's like, we're very playful with it at my house, because that's where I'm actually most comfortable, is just kind of a playfulness. Whereas, like, when someone asks me for my pronouns, I always feel like it's some sort of meaning moment, and then I don't want to participate.
Yeah, that's so
when I know that's not what they
interesting.
mean. Like, I know that people are just trying to be respectful and refer to people how they want to be referred to, and but like, when I do that in my classroom, I'm always like, share your pronouns if you want to, because I always feel like, because I was always, well, not always, but 99% of the time, like, the most non-binary person in the room, I always felt like everyone was going around sharing pronouns, and everyone was like waiting to get to mine.
Totally. There's like
And I
one
felt
person who can
resentful.
join the group and everyone's like, should we do pronouns? And you're kind of like, well, I know that was for me. And of course I appreciate it. But like, there is a little like, oh, right. Yeah, that is so funny. Well, I feel like this time it's not like a death rattle. I don't think we're that close to the end of gender, but there is kind of like you were saying growing up, there's like Jerry Springer trans people, and that's like the only public consciousness of trans people. And now I think we are so a part of society. We are so talked about. It's too much to say that it's a good thing, but what do you think about us being part of the conversation, for better or worse, right now on that side of the aisle?
No, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, you know, one is and I always have to go to the second one, which has a little bit of hope in it. The first one is just that, like, I mean, the rhetoric right now is just, you know, we're the boogeyman, we're the thing that's wrong with everything. We should all start paying attention to how many people are in prison getting their gender hormones paid for. Like, you've got to be kidding me, the world we live in, that we're talking about that. Like, it's important to me. Like, yes, I want those people to have that care. But I want to say, like, that's where we're putting the conversation. It's like, we've become the symbolic sort of place where all the bad things are happening. You know, there's that, you know, document like, we will find you, the radical transgender left, or whatever. Like, you're going to send your kid to school and they're going to go a girl and come home a boy. And I'm just like, it's like, what is, you know, like, but so that's the terrifying part, is just like, unfortunately, like, in the mainstream, it feels so often like we don't get to say anything about the rhetoric that's circulating about us. Sometimes I listen to rhetoric and I'm like, if these folks saw my life, like, that I got up this morning and had to deal with an 8-year-old that didn't like what I made for breakfast, and like, my life is not, they imagine something that people just aren't, like,
Totally.
You know what I mean? And they turn it into this sort of demon that no one actually knows. I mean, no one knows any of these demons that they're talking about. Like, we don't.
Totally.
I'm friends with, you know, a lot of folks on the queer spectrum, and just none of them are the demons we're talking about. So there's that, like, there's that bit of defeatist feeling sometimes where I'm like, we don't get to say anything, like, or if we try to say something, it just gets twisted. It gets, you know, we're just in so much trouble with this rhetoric where, like, how are we going to get out of this situation? And then, you know, the other way you posed it is like, well, if we're talking about it, then there are places where I get to talk about it. And I mean, but of course, they're trying to take some of those. I mean, a classroom used to be a space where those kinds of exciting ideas, even my most conservative students, I will say 10 years ago in Nebraska, so not in Pittsburgh, not in Nebraska, if I gave them Kate Bornstein's Gender Trouble, which I did for a long time, even if they were unsettled, they would be like, this is kind of rad though, like that we're reading this, right? Like they would be 18-year-olds. They would be curious. They would be, even if they said the wrong thing, even if they didn't fully understand, like they would be curious. And now the anti-curiosity is like it's one of the most dangerous things. No one is curious. Like, who is this community we are talking about? Like, what is this community saying about ourselves? And what's getting scary to me is that, like, I'm afraid sometimes to bring those books to certain classes, not to my graduate classes or my upper level classes, but like, to like, I used to bring Kate Bornstein into first year writing. I mean, like, which is like a gen ed class, you know what I mean? I'd be like, let's write about this. Let's all tell the stories of our gender, and it was great, like, and sure, some students resisted and wrote really boring essays that like didn't do the work of like really thinking about their like gender enculturation and stuff. But some of them did, some of them were cis kids, like they did such cool work thinking about like, there was this weird moment, or this thing happened, or, and it's like, now it's like you do that assignment right now and I'm going to end up, the governor's going to end up reading an article about me in the newspaper and end up fired,
Totally.
So that's the part that's like, it's difficult, but
the shut down kind of.
Yeah. But I will say that like, one thing I know about the queer community, we will find ways to subvert whatever insidious little or big shit that they do. My partner and I talk about it all the time. Like, they take our marriage license. Yeah, well, we already didn't have a marriage license and got married anyway. So, like, they need to fuck themselves again. There's some level on which we have to be like, they cannot take it. I mean, they can kill us. And I know that happens. And so, but like, that's the only way you're going to put a stop to me.
Totally.
Like, and again, it's not like the stuff that's happening now wasn't underneath the surface before. But yeah, now it's pretty emboldened. And it's been given kind of a microphone that was starting to feel like, it's hard to feel like things were better 10 years ago, but they really were.
And that's brutal.
Yeah. I don't even believe in progress, okay? Like, I don't even believe in that narrative, that things just get better and better. Like, so I know, I don't even believe in it, but it's sad for me when I'm like, wow, like, yeah, the University of Nebraska had one of the first, like, homophile studies classes in the 70s. We have, like, a long history of LGBTQ advocacy here, and they just shut down their gender and sexuality center. Like, that's rough, that's a rough to... But all the more reason why all the queer faculty that work in my institution, we got to stay here and be here for these young people because they just took their center. But they can't take us from them unless they can fire all of us, which I'm not sure they can pull off.
Yeah, definitely. They can fire some of us. They couldn't fire all of us, right?
No, possibly.
I'm curious about your journey to parenthood, if you care to share stuff about that or what that was like for you.
Well, the journey sort of starts in the tragedy so I grew up on Long Island. And if you know anything about Long Island, you know that there's something called a Long Island wedding. That is just like, Long Island weddings are epic. They are like huge. They're at these like huge, I mean, people save their whole lives to have a, wedding, right? So I remember the age at which I was probably about 15 when I was fully like, I don't think boys are in the cards for me. I was like, man, I'm never going to get I love a Long Island wedding. I love doing the electric slide. Like, I love, like, I'm never going to get my Long Island wedding. And the thing that went along with that was definitely that I always thought that I love teaching. I love mentoring. I'm like, one of the things I love doing in the universe is being around for young people who need it. And I was like, man, what a waste of my skills. I'm like, well, at least I'm going to be a teacher because I'm not going to be able to have kids because, no, how am I going to do that?
I'm not going to marry this guy.
That would have been my logic. Yeah, like, right. So that was my logic at 15 or 16. And, it wasn't until, much after that it started to feel, I met some queer parents and was like, oh, like they're, which again is why I'm saying it's like so important to like just for young people to come into contact with like, oh, I mean, I could do it that way, that sort of.
Totally.
And so I knew I wanted to have kids. My partner was less sure in the beginning, but then she, and I didn't try to influence the situation. I was like, that's good. So, I mean, I basically just threw myself into mentoring. I'm a youth slam poetry coach. Like, I really enjoy working with young people. And then, in 2014, we had Max and, Man, I mean, being a parent who, like, both of us, my partner is also a writer and does queer theory and actually childhood studies. So
Right.
the two of us, like, raising kids, like, there are hilarious things that happen in my house where we'll be like, man, we thought gender wasn't real, but right there it seemed real.
Yeah, totally,
We have a son and a daughter and but then just, observing like just how much them growing up with us and the things that they understand about how gender operates. I mean, it's one of the greatest gifts of my life to just be like loved by them so purely, like they have no idea that I was supposed to be anything else.
Totally.
I mean, there's no other human beings on this planet, partner included, like that where it's like these kids, I'm just me to them. And it just feels it feels like the purest thing that I always wanted to be is like just me to someone, like not all these other things. And so, gosh, I mean, being a parent is very hard.
Totally.
but I love it very much. And our two kids are, they're just really cool human beings. They're just really cool human beings. And hopefully, I think we're raising people who want to let other people be themselves and want to be themselves. And, my son had a little girl say to him, "My father says you're going to grow up not to have any discipline because you don't have a dad." Oh, like that got said to him, like in the 5th grade, and you're just like, what?
Oh my God.
Anyway, I was joking with Max. I was like, well, I don't really want you to have discipline.
Yeah, totally.
She's right. I'm sorry. Little Addison, wow. She's right.
Yeah,
Addison is right. And one of the most purest moments was my son. So we were careful when my son was like little that we didn't watch just like all movies with moms and dads in them. So we watched a lot of movies that didn't have parents at all, like the Curious George show or something like that. Like we tried not to like overexpose them to like hetero couples, hetero parents over and over again. I think he was maybe turning 3 and we were watching some movie that had a mom and a dad in it. And he said, my kids call me Cece, which is
cool.
Just there. I'm a Cece. My son will tell you like a Cece is a mom and a dad in one person. And that's what he says. So we're watching this movie and he said, that kid has a dad. And here I am, right? I'm like, oh, here it comes. He's going to wish he had a dad. This is going to be so sad. I'm going to feel so full of grief. He wants a dad. This is terrible. I'm like, yeah, that kid has a dad. And then my son says, he doesn't have a Cece?
Totally.
And I was like, no. And I still didn't see it coming that it was good. I was like, nope, he doesn't. He has a mom and a dad, not a mom and a Cece. So, yep. And I'm like, here it comes. And then he goes, that is so sad. So here I am thinking he's gonna think he's like having the grief of his life. And meanwhile, he's like this poor kid on the show. He's got to deal with this dad.
Totally.
Like,
there's no Cece in the picture.
He's like, this poor kid.
Did the Cece leave?
Did Cece die? Like, what happened? Like, it was crazy. But that's what people don't get about, like, what about the kids? How are they gonna grow up? It's like, no, they're gonna grow up feeling loved, hopefully. Like, that's the goal. Like,
totally. My kid is like 9 months, so I haven't really gotten to that yet. But I also carry a ton of fear around that. And I remember before we even had this kid, I was like, there's going to be a moment, where it's like, you're not my parent, because I'm not bio-related.
Yeah,
or I had, you really reason yourself out of these feelings and you're like, it's not real. But then there's some sort of primal fear that you're like, I'm not blood. And now that he's 9 months old, the amount of time I've put in with this kid every single, I'm like, even if he ever looks at me and is like, you're not my parent, I'm like, yes, I am. I am changing your diaper.
But they'll never do that. Like,
no, exactly.
And I always give my kids outs because I still carry all this like fear and shame about like making them have to answer for me or what I look like or making them have to answer questions, in years where it's really hard socially already. And so my daughter says to me, oh, I want you to volunteer for field day. It's like this day at school where some of the parents come and run booths and they do activities, whatever. And I was like, okay. I was like, are you sure though? I was like, you don't have to have me do it. Like, you can ask mom. Like, mom looks a little more normal than me. Like, you can, and
I'm just gonna level with you.
My daughter's like, what? You think I'm embarrassed of you? I want you to come because I want to spend time with you. Like, she's like, this is, she's 8. She's 8 and she's like taking care of me. She's like, don't you dare think that this is not what it is. It's like, I can't imagine a moment that my kids are like, I thought it would come already. I couldn't imagine where my son would be like, I wish I would have had a real dad or whatever, you know, like I just
Totally.
I don't think that moment is coming. And our donor is a close friend of mine, so my kids know him and
Me
call
too.
him
Me
uncle and
too.
things.
Okay,
And,
I was
you know,
going to
people-
ask about that. What's that relationship like? Or...
Yeah, so we see them when we can. I mean, they don't live here, so we see them, you know, when we can, maybe every other year. We used to see them every year, but it's been a little bit harder with the kids busy and activities and things. But you know, people are like, oh, is that weird for you? Like, do they feel really bonded to the donor? And I'm like, they feel like he's their uncle because he is related to them and really loves them, but like they don't see him a lot. So he's not their dad. You know, like, and my kids just have, and his kids, he's got 4 kids with his wife, and we've been really close friends since college. And it's actually amazing. Like, I love when all the kids are together and like how much they all like look alike. And
That's
you know, I'll see
cute.
my kids make faces that Sean makes, and I'll text them sometimes about something they do that's messed up and be like, this is your fault, you know?
Totally.
I'm like, Max is super hyper, Sean. This is on you.
Totally. It has been such a freakish intimacy in that kind of way where I'm like, I'm raising this kid that kind of can make faces that look like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, wow, this is the next level of friendship.
Yeah.
Like that is a really
It-
cool thing.
But
Yeah,
that's what I mean. But
funny.
people can't wrap their heads around like, so you guys like all see each other? Like, isn't that weird? And you're just like, why would it be weird unless you make it weird? My kids know how babies are made, and they know that you need sperm, and we didn't have any. And Sean very nicely gave us some.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, it's very simple. The
We just didn't have
explanation is
it.
not. If we had our own, we would have used it, I guess.
The GLP-1 pill you've been waiting for is now on Ro. Yep, it's finally here. With the same clinically proven ingredient, now in a pill, and now on Ro. It's the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss at the lowest price available. That's one daily GLP-1 pill for big results. Now on Ro. Go to ro.co/listen to see if you qualify. RX only. Go to ro.co/safety for serious side effects and boxed warning associated with GLP-1s.
I would love to pivot and talk about A Real Man Would Have a Gun. For those who haven't heard of it, would you explain it?
Yes. So this was published this past year, and actually probably will go down as the greatest honor of my life. Is it was just nominated for a Lambda Literary Award.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a book of poems. The title, A Real Man Would Have a Gun, actually comes from a poem that I wrote about parenting. The book is largely a meditation on masculinity in myself and in others. There's a series in the book called Men Who Think I Am One of Them Speak, and it's about these moments where men, friends of mine or not, colleagues, etc., say things to me that I think they wouldn't say if they saw themselves as talking to a woman, so to speak. And so I've written a series of poems about these things that get said. And that's been terrifying, I think, for some of my cis
What are
male
some of
friends.
them? Yeah, totally.
The poems have, the title is always Men Who Think I'm One of Them Speak, and then underneath in italics is the thing they said. So some of the things they said are, check out that ass. She really let herself go. You're not going to write poems about your kids now, right? I forget you're a woman sometimes. That got said to me. One of the most tragic poems in the collection is called Dude, We Are Going to Have to Fight Them Off with Sticks. And that was after my daughter was born. One of my male friends said that about her. And so the poems are complicated in the sense that, yes, they indict these things that God said, but they also acknowledge that they're said in some of the cases by men I love and care about. And so the book's trying to really think about masculinity as like to have compassion toward masculinity's tragedy, as much as indict it, and also not do that with just pointing the finger, without thinking about the ways that I'm implicated in some of masculinity's sort of operations. As I just said at the beginning when we were talking, like, I think I probably get interpreted as a straight male like a decent percentage of the time. So I'm sure I take advantage of all kinds of privileges and respect and asking for extra mayonnaise and getting it and whatever all the time. And I even feel it even with my students who know that I'm queer. The masculinity performance, you know, my partner and I was joking. She's like, I can't get away with that. If a kid pulls out their cell phone, you know, I might say to that kid, hey, what are you doing? Freaking kidding me? And the kid will put it back in his pocket like, oh shit, dad caught me. But like, if my wife did that, they would be like, what a bitch, you know, like,
oh my
it's like,
God,
you know,
totally.
It's like this. So I really wanted to like talk about that, to talk about both the advantages and the terrors of being me, and then also this weird sort of being a part of masculinity's club sometimes, and so getting an inside view and trying to show that to people. And hopefully I think it has connotations for all kinds of ways that people talk when they think they're in their in-group. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, yeah. And so I hope there are lots of echoes that also cross with not just gender and sexuality, but race and class and, disability and things like that. Like, I feel like there's just all these ways that when people think they're among themselves, so to speak, they might say things in ways that aren't quite very thoughtful, even if, right? Because I think it matters that these people aren't people that I'm just like this guy on a plane where I'm like, oh, you're clearly like, oh my God, these are people who love my family.
Totally.
My friend who said, dude, we're going to have to fight them off with sticks. He's one of the first people to meet my daughter. Like, it's just, but it's the logics. Like, he can't escape them either. Like, he thinks that's something beautiful that he should say.
Totally. Totally.
And it's just
it's so much more interesting that you are close to these people because there are a million and one random psychotic people talking about masculinity. So yeah. I feel like there's been a lot about masculinity in like media. And is there anything like specifically about masculinity, toxic masculinity, the price of toxic masculinity that interests you, or anything that you've been kind of like meditating on recently?
I feel a lot of pressure, not to go back to kids, but like raising someone who I think thus far seems to be a son, feeling such a grave responsibility to like teach him to recognize when that's being done to him or other kids, or, when toxic masculinity is being sort of engaged to make a thing happen or not happen, and just teaching him to see it. So at the very least, if he participates in it, he knows he's doing it.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like
a
the
conscious choice.
Yeah. It's like when people used to be like, well, I mean, butch women do sexist stuff, like open car doors and stuff. I'm like, yeah, except for when we do it, we know it's hilarious and ironic and sexy, not like serious, like I should open a door. Like it's that, right? Because, gender's not going anywhere.
10 out of 10. Like, 10 out of 10 with that one.
It's not going anywhere. Masculinity's not going anywhere. Like but we can at least, like, if we're aware of what it's trying to do. I mean, you could make this argument about gender, about media, about, racial constructions. If we're aware of what things are trying to do to make us think, believe, feel, if we get really aware of that, that's what's so scary about them coming after higher ed. I mean, that's the place you learn how to be like, what is this text I'm reading, this thing I'm looking at? What does it want from me? What is it trying to do to me? And so, I see my role as a parent and as an educator to try to teach people to see the way language, I'm an English professor, like the way language tries to get you to view something a certain way. And it's okay to view it that way if you know that that's what's happening, right?
Totally.
Like, okay, this is what's happening. And the problem, of course, with, these poems, right? Men who think I'm one of them speak, is that when someone says that and they're not thinking about what the rhetorical logic in, dude, we're going to have to fight him off with sticks. It's like, hey, you're talking about an infant.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of sexualized an infant. That's how much we sexualize women in this culture. It's just right away after they're born, they're a temptress. It's like what I talk about in the home. And it's like, if we could just see what language is doing to us, right? This guy who said this, he's not a bad guy.
Yeah,
he's not like some terrible, but he grew up a white, straight male in America. And that's what you say to say someone's beautiful. And he's an English professor, so like,
totally.
The hilarious thing is sometimes my male friends will call me like after a reading and be like, none of those things were me, right? And I'm like, I got my finger on the problem. I'm like, if you don't know whether you said something like that or not, then you probably did at some point. So yes, the poem's for you.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge thank you to Stacey Waite. The link to his Lambda-nominated book of poetry, A Real Man Would Have a Gun, is in the show notes. Gender Spiral is an original podcast from Audiation. Music is composed by Command Plus Jasmine and Chanel Critchlow. The theme song remix is by our friend Daria, aka Board Lord. The show is mixed by Matt Noble.
Cover art is by Joey Hahn, and graphics are by Michael Tyrone Delaney. The show is executive produced by myself, Allie Beardsley, my co-host Babette Thomas, and Sandy Smollins for Audiation. Our series producer is Ireland Meacham.
Huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. We couldn't make the show without you. If you're not already a member, you can go ahead and join at patreon.com/genderspiralpodcast to listen ad-free, watch video recordings of interviews and bonus video content, join our Discord community, and more. Plus, another new perk for our highest tier members, we're now going to be giving you guys a shout out in the credits just to say thank you. So on that note, thank you so much to the following patrons: Trash Hawk, Andy Muse, Dr. B, Nat Hayes, Kira Lowe,
Fiona Fleshman, B. Peets, Tilda, and Shell B, Kenna's first favorite Sprite girl.
Check us out at genderspiralpod.com, where you can find transcripts for each episode, leave us a voicemail, or shop for our merch store.
The links to our socials are in our show notes. Please follow us and subscribe on whatever podcast app you're listening to right now so you don't miss any new episodes.
Audiation.